My child, when you open your heart to listen to what I am speaking, that very moment creates a quiet yet profound shift within your soul. Not everyone can pause amid the noise to hear the echo that comes from the holy realm. Many walk past these gentle invitations without ever realizing it. Just as the people of old once heard a cry in the wilderness, yet turned away, believing they understood the direction of their lives better than the path I had written for them. But today you stopped, even if only for a brief moment. That pause opened for you a doorway leading from the world of chaos into the realm of peace that I keep for those who truly desire to enter. For since the day humankind was created, I have never ceased calling them back to their source of life. The whispers of heaven never fall silent, though sometimes they are buried beneath layers of ambition, fear, pride, doubt, or wounds long left unhealed. Many souls have felt a gentle stirring deep within themselves, yet they push it away as one shuts a window when the night breeze slips in. They hear something like a calling, but they refuse to let it reach them. Afraid of facing the truth they have tried so long to cover, they know something essential is missing. Yet they try to fill those empty spaces with things that never bring wholeness to fleeting praise. Pleasures that lose their novelty, or dazzling success that their hearts never truly touch. And so they move through their days wearing smiles like cloaks, while inside they carry a weariness they never reveal. You have seen them, those who appear steady but are shaken by the smallest wind. I do not blame them, for I see the wounds they carefully hide. I see the moments they are exhausted even when no words escape their lips. I see how they keep themselves busy so they won't have to hear the whisper within asking, "Who am I in this life?" Do you know what exhausts a person the most? It is not pressure, not loss, not even suffering. What wears the soul down more than anything is living disconnected from its source. A soul without a home to return to will always feel empty, no matter how many things it possesses that others envy. Like water separated from the spring, like a branch torn from the tree, like breath held for too long. A soul distant from me will always feel lost. That emptiness is not punishment. It is a sign that the soul is thirsty, lacking, longing to return to the place where it was born. Many mistake that longing for a passing sadness, for ordinary discouragement, for a temporary emotional spiral. But, my child, it is the echo of the purest part of them, calling to be reunited with the light. It is like the moment the prophet Elijah was in the cave, not in the strong wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in a gentle whisper so faint that one could easily miss it. That is how I call them so softly that if their hearts are loud, they will never hear. Yet, among the countless souls who turn away, there are a few like you today who stop. They do not pause out of curiosity, but because something deep within senses an invitation that is real. They cannot fully explain it, but they know something beyond human reason is reaching out to touch them. You may not even be able to put into words why you paused at this moment, but that act of listening tells me you are opening a door that many never dare to open. And when a soul opens the first door, I do the rest. No one can come to me unless I call them first, and no one can hear me unless there remains within them even a small longing for what is good and true. The world offers many brilliant promises, promises of happiness, freedom, fulfillment, power, fame. Yet those promises are like shadows the more you chase them. The more exhausted you become, the more tightly you hold them, the faster they slip away. When people place their souls in the hands of things that cannot carry their weight, they live in constant fear of losing what they depend on. When their happiness depends on the approval of others, they endlessly feel insufficient. And when their worth is measured by profit or gain, they never experience peace. For none of these things can satisfy the spiritual longing placed within humanity from the very beginning. Child, I do not call you to make you afraid. My calling has never existed to bind anyone. It is an invitation, not a threat. It is a light to guide your path, not a rod to strike you. The warnings I give are not meant to make you anxious. They are like the words of a father telling his child not to run into danger, or like the shepherd standing on the hillside calling the wandering sheep home before nightfall. I call not because you are weak, but because you are precious. I remind you not to make you tremble, but so you may live fully. My invitation always carries the nature of love, never the spirit of coercion. Do you know why so many souls feel exhausted, even though they lack nothing in the eyes of the world? Because they have built their lives on things that cannot sustain the soul. A tree cannot grow strong if it is planted in hardened stone. A lamp cannot shine if the oil inside has run dry. And a heart cannot flourish if it is disconnected from its source of life. Sometimes I allow the things they cling to be shaken, not to make them lose, but to help them see that those foundations were never strong enough to hold them. I allow the forced smile to fail at hiding the inner weariness, not to shame them, but so they can finally recognize what they truly need. I allow the silence of the night to grow louder, so they can hear their own sigh, the sigh they have avoided for far too long. But I want you to understand something with absolute clarity. I am not as distant as you once thought. I do not stand in the high heavens waiting for you to get everything right before I draw near. I was already here when you were lost. I was close when you felt you had no strength left. I saw every tear you tried to hide under the soft glow of your room's light. I saw every time you forced a smile while your heart was weighed down. I saw every silent battle you never told anyone about. And because I see, that is why I call you today, not to remind you of your mistakes, but to remind you that you have never been forgotten, never been abandoned, never been overlooked. My voice calling you is not the voice of judgment. It is the voice of one who loved you long before you formed your first thought about life. It is the voice of one who knows you more deeply than anyone ever will, yet still chooses to remain beside you even when you feel unworthy of such closeness. It is the invitation of grace, something no achievement can earn and no failure can erase. And today, my child, in this moment when you pause to listen, I want you to know that this is the beginning of a new journey. Not a journey of running away, but a journey of returning. Not a journey of searching for love, but a journey of realizing that love found you first. There are moments that seem accidental in life, but in truth they are woven by invisible threads of divine guidance. I do not enter your life with loud noises, nor do I force you to pay attention. I choose to touch you with gentleness, with a fleeting thought that makes you stop in the middle of a busy day, with an unnamed feeling stirring inside you when you believe yourself too hardened to feel anything at all. Just like young Samuel hearing a voice he mistook for a human call. Many souls today hear that same whisper, but do not recognize its source. They think it is intuition or a passing thought. But for the ones who stop, the light begins to open. You belong to that rare few, those who refuse to ignore the inner stirring, even when they do not fully understand its meaning. That simple pause brings joy to heaven. For the moment you listen, I can breathe a new breath of life into your soul. A breath you have long yearned for but did not know how to name. Many walk through life without realizing that what they lack is not success, not opportunity, not a new relationship, but connection to a source greater than themselves. They search for it in the eyes of others, in words of praise, in feeling needed. Yet they never feel whole, and so they conclude that something must be wrong with them. They assume they are not good enough, not talented enough, not valuable enough to be loved. But my child, they do not know that the human soul was created with a space only I can fill. When you place your hope in limited things, that hope will always be shaken. When you let your heart rest on something that changes with time, you will always feel unstable. When you ground your identity in things people can take away, fear will rule your life. It is not their fault. It is simply the consequence of a soul looking for its true nature in places that cannot hold it. I see those souls. Just as a shepherd sees each sheep caught in the thorns, they do not intentionally walk away from me. They simply follow what seems appealing in the moment. The false light of the world can make people believe they have found the right path until they step into it and realize it only leads to exhaustion. I see them running from one pleasure to another, yet every night the emptiness returns. I see them masking pain with loud laughter, yet in silence that pain becomes suffocating. I see them trying to appear strong, when in truth they long for someone to hold them and whisper that they are not forgotten. But because they have grown used to telling themselves they must stand on their own, they do not dare let their hearts soften before anything. And then, some of them eventually face the exhaustion they have avoided for too long, not exhaustion from work, but exhaustion from living far from the source of life. My child, when someone lives too long in spiritual darkness, their inner eyes forget what light looks like. They begin to think weariness is normal. They assume emptiness is something everyone must endure. They believe sleepless nights, mornings without desire to rise, and thoughts spiraling like hidden waves are simply part of life. But I never created them for such an existence. They were not made for slow decay, but for meaningful life. They were not made to drag themselves through the days, but to walk with clarity and strength. But when they no longer remember the light, they begin to believe that darkness is their home. Yet even when they forget me, I have never left them. I stand beside them through every dark night. Through every moment they steady themselves against pain they don't want anyone to see. Through every instant they wonder whether anything good remains for them in this world. I see the times they are so weary they wish they could disappear. I hear the whispers they never dare speak aloud. I feel the wounds they carry that no one else touches. And because of all this, I continue to call them again and again, not with thunder, but with a small, steady sound within the heart. I am not impatient when they move slowly. I am not angry when they retreat. I do not step away when they stumble. I walk with them through every wrong turn, not to approve of those turns, but to make sure the darkness does not swallow them before they find their way back. Do you know something? My child, my power does not lie in force, but in patience. True love never pushes. It opens a path for someone to walk freely. I do not want you to follow me out of fear. I want you to come because you have realized that nowhere else can offer the peace I give. I do not desire souls to live spiritually barren because they think I am too distant or too strict. I did not create humanity so they would hide from me. I created them to live in spiritual freedom. In a rest nothing can steal, but to receive that freedom, they must dare to face the voice ringing inside their hearts. And that is what you have just done, a small act that opens an entire expanse of sky. Those who turn away from the calling are not always evil. Often they are souls whose wounds make them afraid of the light. They fear being seen through. They fear being exposed. They fear that if I look at the things they conceal, I will leave them. But they do not know that the very places they deem most ugly are the places I long to touch the most. Just as Jesus touched the leper without hesitation, without fear, without judgment, I too desire to touch the dark corners of your heart, the ones you believe no one would ever dare to enter. I desire not to expose you, but to rescue you. My light does not come to shame you, but to erase everything that has kept your head bowed for so long. So when you hear this calling, do not think you are imagining it. Do not think it is a coincidence. Do not think it is a fleeting emotion. It is your soul responding to what belongs to it. When someone wanders too far from where they belong, even the smallest ray of light can stir their heart. That is what I am doing to you. You feel it because you were created to recognize my voice. Just as sheep recognize the voice of their shepherd, you may have passed through seasons of doubt, times of feeling invisible, moments of silence that made you believe no one needed your presence. But let me tell you this truth, even when the world looks down on you, I have never looked down on you. Even when you feel worthless, I still see in you a value beyond anything this world can measure. You pause to listen to me, and that is where transformation begins. Not a change from the outside, but from the deepest part of your soul. And when the Spirit begins to move, everything else will, in turn, be changed in wondrous ways you cannot yet imagine. I am leading you into a journey unlike any journey you have ever walked before. A journey in which you will no longer have to run in circles trying to find your worth in the eyes of people, but will come to see your true nature through my gaze. A journey in which you will discover that love is not something to be fought over, but something freely given. A journey in which you will learn how to breathe again, not with the short, hurried breaths of a fearful soul, but with the deep, gentle breathing of one who knows they are being sheltered. My child, when you begin to realize that the calling within your heart is not random, but an invitation from the sacred realm, that is the very moment your soul steps into a new orbit. Not an orbit of fear or confusion, but an orbit of awakening, a return to the deepest part of who you are. What I want you to understand, above all, is that you did not arrive at this moment by accident. A soul does not suddenly tremble before the call of light unless there is still an ember within it that has not gone out. And I have seen that ember in you. Even when you believed yourself completely cold after long seasons of heartbreak, doubt, or exhaustion, I have seen that flicker of flame in the nights you tossed and turned. In the moments you found yourself searching for something your mind could not name. In those times you wondered if you were born missing some invisible piece no one else could see. You are not missing anything. Your soul is simply longing to return to where it belongs. Many people pass through this life without ever realizing that every soul has its own rhythm of calling from heaven. Not everyone hears it, because they bury themselves too deeply in the noise. But when someone realizes they are weary from constantly chasing things that never satisfy, that is often the sign that their heart is ready to open. Spiritual doors do not open by human force. They open when the heart becomes honest enough. Whether you came here out of curiosity or with a fragile hope that something greater than yourself might be real, you still need to know this. It was I who planted that longing within you to lead you back. Just as Abraham heard my call in a land he did not yet understand, I am calling you to step out of the familiar safety of your past and walk into the path I have already prepared. If you could see how resilient you have been, you would look at yourself with different eyes. There were times you thought yourself weak because your heart became so sensitive to pain. But I do not see sensitivity as weakness. Sensitivity is the sign of a soul that still knows how to feel. Only hearts that have died feel nothing at all. You hurt because you are still alive. You feel empty because you are searching for what is true. You are exhausted because you have tried for so long to carry everything in your own strength. And all of these are not proofs that you are broken beyond repair, but signs that you can still be healed, renewed, and led into a deeper understanding of what true peace really is. There are people who have locked themselves behind walls they built from disappointment. They have endured so much betrayal that they no longer dare to trust anything sacred. It is not that they do not want to be loved, but that they fear their trust will once again be exploited, so they choose to seal their hearts behind a hardened shell. What they do not realize is that this shell not only shields them from pain, but also blocks the flow of life. It protects them from being wounded, but it also keeps out the light. I do not condemn them, for I know they are defending themselves, not rebelling. I see the tears they hide behind their smiles, the loneliness they carry beneath their strong exterior, and even when they lock themselves away, I still walk beside them, waiting for the moment their hearts grow weary enough to dare to believe that they are worthy of being healed. I know you have lived through days when you told yourself that no one truly understands you. There were nights you felt lost in the middle of a crowd, even as laughter filled the room around you. There were seasons when your inner silence was so deep that you mistook it for a sign that I had left. But that silence was not an empty void. It was the space I carved out for your soul to hear itself again. I allowed you to walk through certain dark paths not to terrify you, but to help you discover that even the smallest light can guide your steps when everything else is wrapped in shadow. I did not cause you to lose your way. I led you through the bends of the road so you could see the depth of your own inner being. When a soul begins to encounter truth again, it goes through a process like a seed that has been buried underground for a long time. Before it can push through the soil, it must first break its shell. That shell may be the false beliefs you have carried since childhood, the careless words that made you doubt your worth, or the memories that make you afraid of the light. The breaking of that shell can hurt, but it is a sign of growth. A seed that never cracks open will never sprout. You are in that very season, the season in which your past is being dismantled so your future can be formed. I know you are afraid. I know you worry. I know there are questions you have not dared to speak aloud. But what I want you to remember is this: you do not have to walk alone. When you dare to open your heart to me, you are giving yourself the chance to live a life filled with meaning. I do not ask you to be perfect before you come to me. I simply ask you to be honest. Be honest about your pain, your weakness, your disappointments, and the failures you have not yet forgiven yourself for. None of these make me tremble. I am not overwhelmed by the darkness you carry. I am not surprised by the things you have hidden for so many years. I have seen all of it from the very beginning, and I still chose you. You are not defined by the mistakes of your past, but by the love I have placed in you. You are not what people said in the moments they did not understand you. You are not the failures you have been afraid to face. You are not the things you have lost. You are not the silent tears that fell unnoticed. You are the one I have called by name. You are the one whose value I have seen, even in the season when you felt most hopeless. You are the one I have placed my hope in, not because you are strong, but because you have been brave enough to listen to my voice, even while your heart was still heavy. As you begin to step into the path I have prepared for you, do not expect everything to become clear all at once. Light does not always come as a blazing sun. Sometimes it appears as a small glimmer, just enough to illuminate the next step. But that is all you need. I do not hand you a map and send you off on your own. I take your hand and lead you with my own steps. You do not need to understand the entire road. You only need to trust that I know which way leads to peace and which way leads to harm. Let me guide you away from the paths that have worn you out. Let me show you what nourishes your soul and what drains it. You do not need to decipher the meaning of every event. You only need to know that no event in your life is meaningless once you place it in my hands. My beloved child, this journey will not only help you know me more, it will help you know yourself more. You will come to see that you are stronger than you thought, deeper than you believed, and more beautiful than anything you have ever been told. You will discover that vulnerability is not a weakness, but the doorway into healing. You will realize that every hard step carries its own purpose, and you will see that your heart, though wounded, still holds the capacity to love more deeply than you ever imagined. When a soul begins to respond to the call of the holy, that moment does not merely mark an awakening, it ushers in a new season, a season in which my guidance becomes clearer, gentler, and more deeply woven into every corner of your life. Many people assume my presence only reveals itself through great events, miracles that shake their world, or dazzling moments like thunder cracking across a clear sky. But I choose to come to you with footsteps light as morning dew, with a breath gentler than the evening breeze, because what I seek is not outward spectacle, but the smallest tremor in your heart where I can plant what is eternal. Ever since you opened your heart to respond to my voice, a quiet yet powerful process has begun, not in the physical world, but in the deepest layers of your soul. You may not see anything changed on the outside yet, but within you there is a subtle shift taking place. It is like a seed hidden beneath the soil. People above may think nothing is happening, but under the dark earth, life is sprouting little by little. I am not rushing you to see immediate results. I work in silence because the soul needs time to adjust to the light after a long season of walking in dimness. You cannot expect yourself to understand everything at once, but you can trust that every step you take is held within my guidance. In this season, I will begin to shine light upon things you have not noticed for a long time, not to shame you, but to free you from what unknowingly bound you. Old memories may surface. Emotions you thought had long settled may rise again. Parts of you that you believed were left behind ages ago may blend into your present moments. But do not fear. A soul cannot step into true freedom without first seeing the shadows it once hid. I do not draw these shadows out to hurt you. I bring them into the light so they no longer hold power over you. Anything placed before the light loses its ability to wound. That is why I will gently lead you into the process of seeing again what you once forgot. You are not alone in this journey. I am walking beside you, step by step. When you do not understand what is happening inside you, remember that I understand. When your heart feels chaotic, remember that I have touched countless souls and know precisely what stirs beneath those layered emotions. I am not surprised by sudden winds within the inner world. On the contrary, I know they are signs that you are transforming. Like a bird learning to spread its wings for the first time, you will have moments of unsteady movement. But that does not make me doubt you. I see the capacity to soar within you even when you cannot yet see it for yourself. You will begin to feel that certain things no longer fit who you are becoming. Relationships you once clung to with all your strength may suddenly feel distant. Habits you thought harmless may start weighing heavily on you. Ways of thinking that supported you in a past season may now feel like barriers keeping you from entering the new. Do not regret. Do not resist the change. When I lead you into a new season, I also gently guide you to release what is no longer a blessing for your soul. The season of sowing is not the season of harvest. The season of resting is not the season of blooming. You cannot bring what belonged to the old season into the field of the new. They will not serve you anymore. Do not forget, true transformation does not happen because you force yourself to change, but because you allow me to reshape you. I do not demand perfection from you. I do not ask you to repair your broken places on your own. I want my own hands to touch those parts. Just as a potter never discards a lump of clay still rough and unformed. I do not reject anything within you. I know where you come from. I know what you have endured. I know what makes you hesitant. What makes you guarded. What makes trusting difficult. But I also know there is a part of you that has always longed for the sacred. I begin my work in that part first, and from there, it spreads into every corner of your soul. In this time, you may find yourself more sensitive to things you once ignored. A careless word from someone may stay with you longer. A moment of silence may suddenly make you aware that you are being guided. A small feeling of unease may prompt you to examine yourself. Do not be quick to assume you are becoming weaker. In truth, it is a sign that your soul is awakening. When the heart awakens, it feels more deeply what it once overlooked. When the spiritual ears open, you begin hearing echoes that you were once too busy to notice. This is not confusion, it is refinement. I will also begin bringing you out of places you once believed were safe, but were only holding you in place. You may not understand at first why certain doors close, why some people step out of your life, why you suddenly lose things you once considered important. But know that these are not punishments. They are redirections. I do not take away anything that I know will keep you confined. I take only so that you can receive something better. Everything I remove from your hands is so your hands may be empty to receive what I am preparing. My child, what I want you to understand most clearly in this season is this. This is a time of preparation. I am preparing you from within so that when you enter what I have destined, you can receive it without fear, without doubt, without sabotaging the good because of old wounds. I want your mind refreshed. I want your soul nourished. I want your heart tender yet strong, humble yet steadfast, gentle yet full of life. Nothing I am doing is meaningless. Every emotion, every shift, every small trembling within your inner world is part of the reshaping. Just as the disciples of old were led from the shores of Galilee into lands they had never known, you too are being led into places you never imagined. Not geographical places, but spiritual ones, places where you will see yourself with new eyes, where you will know fully that nothing from your past has the right to bind you anymore. I am teaching you how to walk in silence, how to trust even when you cannot see, and how to hear my voice among countless others. This is maturity, not confusion. This is preparation, not chaos. Be patient. Preparation always lasts longer than the result, but without preparation, no result can endure. I am working within you through a love deeper than anything you have ever known. Keep your heart open. Keep listening. Keep letting me lead you. A new journey is unfolding, and you are stepping in right on time, my child. As I begin preparing your soul for a new journey, you will notice that things once familiar suddenly take on a different shade, not because the world has changed, but because the light within you is growing stronger, making everything clearer. What you once called normal now makes you pause. What you once accepted easily now feels misaligned. What you once overlooked now becomes a gentle reminder that you are being led into a deeper level of discernment. This is not random. It is my quiet teaching, a kind of teaching without words, carried through shifts in feeling, in intuition, in the subtle movements beneath the surface of your awareness. There are things I will show you not through grand events, but through very small moments, like when you suddenly feel uncomfortable participating in empty conversations you once joined without a second thought. or when you notice that meaningless jokes leave your heart dry, or when you feel drawn to silence rather than trying to blend into sounds that no longer resonate with who you are. This is because I am pulling you out of old vibrations to lead you into a higher place. Your soul is beginning to discern what nourishes and what drains. And once you can discern, you will know how to walk in the right direction. There will be times when you wonder why certain people seem to drift away during this season. But remember that some people are only aligned with an older version of you. When your soul grows, connections that no longer match will quietly close on their own. It is not because you or they are at fault. It is simply a change of season. Just as a tree entering the time of blooming must release a few withered leaves. Those leaves are not wrong, they just no longer contribute to the new life forming within. I know you have a tender heart, so letting go of anything familiar can make you thoughtful. But, my child, does not see this as a loss. You are being let out of what suited yesterday in order to step into what will be right for tomorrow. In this season, I will also help you see the invisible limits you once could not identify. There are old beliefs that have settled deeply inside you, causing you to shrink yourself into narrow spaces you mistook for safety. But safety is not always good. Some safe places only make the soul smaller. I will gently touch those limits, not to frighten you, but to help you realize that you unknowingly accepted a life far smaller than the one I created you to live. Perhaps you once believed you had to be endlessly patient to the point of silencing your own voice. Perhaps you thought you always had to be strong, never allowing yourself to break. Perhaps you believed that only perfection made you worthy of love. But, my child, these things were never from me. I never asked you to become anything other than yourself, a soul growing, learning, and allowing me to touch every fracture so it may become a place where light enters. You will find your soul becoming more sensitive to truth. Half-hearted words will leave you feeling empty. Relationships built merely on familiarity will tire you. Superficial things will no longer deceive a heart that has awakened. You will begin seeking depth, not complicated depth, but true depth, things that nourish rather than merely keep you busy. This is the sign that you are entering the life of spiritual maturity. But this maturity is not just a shift in emotion or thought, it is a restructuring from the roots. And any restructuring carries a bit of trembling. You may feel as though you are standing between two worlds. On one side are old habits that now feel constricting. On the other side is something new, so wide you are unsure how to step into it. Do not worry. This is the natural sign of transition. When the Israelites stood before the Red Sea, behind them, the Egypt they had left. Before them, the unseen land of promise, they felt the same way. But notice that they did not need to see the whole road. They only needed to follow the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire. And I am leading you in the same way, not by revealing the entire path, but by walking before you step by step. You may go through days when you feel an unusual peace, like a gentle breeze passing through your mind. But you will also have days when you feel unclear, uncertain, unsure of where you are being led. I want you to know that both are part of the journey. Peace is not the absence of change. Peace is the assurance that in every change, I am there, and I have never allowed anyone to lose their way when their heart truly desires to follow the light. In this time of preparation, I will also teach you how to hear subtle guidance. I do not speak only through grand events. I speak through a quiet stirring, through a thought that suddenly becomes clear, through a gentle unease when you step toward something not meant for you, through an unexplainable comfort when you do what is right, through a fleeting moment of clarity that helps you discern, through things that seem small but carry the power to direct your path. This is how I teach you to walk by faith rather than by sight. A spiritually mature person is not the one who knows all the answers, but the one who can recognize the guiding voice within. Everything I am doing now is not to make your life heavier. On the contrary, I am lightening your soul. You have carried too much without knowing their names. You have held burdens no one asked you to bear. You have strained yourself to hold on to things your soul outgrew long ago. I want to free you from what has made you weary. I want to bring you out of unseen dead ends. I want to help you breathe again with the breath of freedom. But to do this, you must dare to release what no longer nourishes you. I do not force you to let go. I simply shine light on what has reached its time to leave. What I am doing within you is something I have done in countless souls before. No soul draws near to me and remains unchanged. Yet no soul is changed in the same way. I am writing your own story, not copied from anyone else, not based on anyone else's path. You will be led through places only you and I understand. Some things I let you walk through not to test your endurance, but to expand the capacity of your heart. Some lessons come not to hurt you, but to help you see how much you have grown. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not being compared. You are simply moving at the exact rhythm of your own soul. And when you sense that you are changing, do not rush to doubt yourself. That change is the proof that you are alive. A dead soul does not change. A soul swallowed by darkness does not tremble. Only awakened souls feel the shift within. Let the change unfold. Do not block it out of fear. Fear is the echo of the past. My voice is the invitation to the future. My beloved child, there will come a time when you realize that true transformation is not only found in what I do for you, but in what I do within you. External changes may be visible to others, but inner change, the softening of your heart, the sharpening of discernment, the maturity in how you respond to life, these are the clearest proofs of a soul being touched by light. And it is this very transformation that will lead you into a new dimension of life. A dimension no circumstance can take away from you. You will find yourself becoming spiritually alert in ways you had never experienced before. Things that once unsettled you will no longer hold the same power. Criticism, doubtful glances, and the demands of others that used to crush you will no longer shake you. It is not because your heart has turned cold, but because you are beginning to recognize that your true worth is not held in anyone's hands. When you stand firmly in truth, the fluctuations of the world lose their grip on your heart. You will begin to see clearly the difference between the voice of truth and the whisper of fear, between my guidance and the push of the ego, between what gives life and what drains it. This is the season in which you learn to stand in the new place of your soul. A place not above anyone, not beneath anyone, but steady in the identity I am restoring to you. My child, a soul that knows where it belongs will no longer be swayed by fleeting judgments. Like a traveler in the desert who learns that the North Star never moves, you too will learn to recognize the one source of direction that does not change. And the moment you fix your gaze upon that light, every call from the shadows grows faint and powerless. Inner maturity is not reaching a state of perfection. It is learning to walk in truth even when you cannot see everything clearly. This maturity does not come in a single moment, but through small choices each day, so small that no one else may notice. But I noticed. I see every time you choose patience instead of anger. I see every time you choose silence to preserve peace, not out of fear, but out of reverence for harmony. I see every time you choose forgiveness, even when you have every reason to resent. I see every time you fight off negative thoughts to keep your heart from sinking. Each moment, however small, is a precious step in the journey of your soul. And as you walk further, you will realize that the things that once frightened you have now become valuable lessons. Not every sorrow you experienced came from my hand, but I can turn all of it into fertile soil for your soul. Just as a vineyard bears sweet fruit only when nourished by both sunshine and storms, you too are shaped by days of brightness and days of darkness. No experience you have ever lived is wasted. Every tear once shed did not disappear. It seeped into the soil of your heart and became material for growth. I saw every time you wanted to give up but chose to rise again. And it is those moments of rising, more than anything else, that make heaven rejoice. I know you carry old fears like traces of past seasons. These fears do not vanish simply because you have chosen to walk toward the light. Sometimes they still try to return, whispering things that make you doubt yourself. But I want you to know that old fear is not a sign of regression. It simply shows that you are stepping out of the territory where it once ruled. You do not need to defeat fear with your own strength. As long as you continue walking in truth, fear will lose its voice. Light does not need to shout to drive away darkness. It only needs to appear. There will be days when your heart feels divided, one part wanting to trust completely, the other hesitating, afraid of being hurt again. I want you to know this is entirely normal. A soul once fragile cannot open wide all at once. Trust takes time. Security must be nurtured. I do not blame you for your hesitation. In fact, your hesitation shows that you are learning to value your heart, and I will not rush anything that would hurt you. I will walk at your pace, no matter how slow, as long as you continue moving toward the light. In this season, I will also teach you how to treat yourself with the same kindness you have always shown others. You are quick to forgive others, yet harsh with yourself. You can comfort someone on the very day they fall, yet you punish yourself for one small mistake. You treat your soul as though it must earn love to deserve it. But to me, you were loved long before you knew how to love yourself. Kindness toward your own soul is not self-indulgence, it is justice. You cannot enter what I have prepared for you unless you learn to see yourself through my eyes. Your soul will begin to recognize what truly matters. The meaningless races will fall away. The ambitions that once pressured you will lose their hold. You will no longer chase what others chase, not because you lack drive, but because you have found something greater: peace. A soul aligned with truth no longer follows the noise of the crowd. It walks to the rhythm of light, unhurried, unforced, unburdened by the need to prove anything. It becomes free in the deepest sense, free not to do what is not yours to do, free not to force yourself into a version that does not belong to you. My child, I am leading you to a place where you will no longer live in reaction, but in intention, no longer pulled by wandering emotions, but walking with clear discernment, no longer driven by old memories, but guided by new light. This is true maturity. This is the freedom I desire you to touch. The season of preparation does not last forever. After refining comes blooming. After shedding comes the building. After tears come days full of hope. What is forming in you will lead you into a life wider, deeper, and more peaceful than anything you have known. You are drawing closer to what I destined for you from the beginning. When your soul reaches the point where inner preparation has touched the deepest places of your heart, that is when a new door begins to open. Not a physical door, nor one visible to the natural eye, but a spiritual one, the door of awareness, of purpose, of understanding that can only be felt when you draw close enough to me. Many want to see the outcome before they let me touch them, but you are different. You have allowed me into the tender places of your soul, allowed me to break the old coverings, allowed me to plant again what was buried. And because of that willingness, you are now stepping into the season where what I placed in you from the beginning begins to emerge. Do you know that every soul is created with a unique purpose? No one carries the same spiritual fingerprint as you. No one can touch the world in the way you can. No one has your story, your inner rhythm, your journey. Long before you had form, I planted within you sacred seeds, abilities, desires, intuitions, and perspectives that exist only in your soul. But for many years, these seeds were covered by the dust of fear, buried under the expectations of the world, hidden beneath careless words, overshadowed by hurried days. I saw it all, and I did not allow any of it to destroy the beauty I breathed into you from the very first moment. But now, as you step out of the old layers, those seeds of purpose are beginning to stir. Perhaps you find yourself becoming sensitive to goodness. Perhaps a small flame begins to rise within you, urging you toward the light. Perhaps you no longer want a life of mere survival, but a life of meaning. That is not circumstance, that is your soul remembering the call it was designed to recognize. I am reminding you of what I placed in you from the beginning, so you no longer wander among things that do not belong to you. During this season, you will notice that things which seem small become profoundly significant. A good thought suddenly becomes a source of light. A simple act of kindness leaves a deep echo in your heart. A quiet pause, a slow breath, a moment of stillness suddenly makes you aware that something is blooming within your inner world. You may not know what to call it, but you can feel life moving. This is the purpose of rising. Not loud, not hurried, just gently like dawn, slowly coloring the sky after a long night. My beloved child, I have seen you walk through seasons in which you felt as though you were merely circling around the same days over and over again. You once wondered whether anything truly significant existed in your life. You once felt your heart longing for something far beyond the repetitive tasks you carried out. You once sensed a gentle knocking inside you, a sound no one else could hear. And now I tell you that was the sound of purpose. A voice that has echoed within you for a long time, but which had been covered by the dust of worry, responsibility, and the expectations others placed upon your shoulders. You will come to realize that purpose is not a job or a role. Purpose is the life within you, the life connected to me. When you allow me to lead, you will find yourself stepping into the very place you were created to stand. For purpose is not a burden, it is where you feel the most at peace. It is not pressure, it is the place where your soul breathes deeply and knows, this is where I belong. You do not need to worry about searching for it. As you draw closer to me, purpose will draw closer to you. In this season, you will notice certain long-buried dreams rising again, not the dreams born from comparison or the need to be seen, but the genuine ones, the ones that once made your heart tremble with life, yet were forgotten because life became too heavy. I am breathing new life into those dreams, for they did not die, they merely slept. They did not vanish, they simply waited for you to become mature enough to carry them rightly. Just as Joseph had a dream too large for his young age and needed years of refinement before it came to pass, you too are walking a similar journey. It is not that your dream was too great, the timing simply was not yet. But now, my child, that time is drawing near. You are not a fragile candle waiting for the wind to extinguish it. You are a light placed in the world to shine into corners others are afraid to touch. You were created to carry a piece of me to the souls who need it. You were formed to be a reminder that goodness still exists, that hope still lives, that love still heals. Each step you take may become an inspiration to someone. A kind word from your lips could save a heart that feels shattered. A sincere embrace from you could soothe a pain no one else sees. You are a vessel of light, even in moments when you have not yet recognized it. But to live on purpose, you must learn to live true to yourself, not the self shaped by fear, but the original self I designed within you. I do not need you to resemble anyone else. I do not need you to play the role of a flawless person. I only want you to follow my lead and become yourself in the light. When you live true to your essence, you naturally step into the place I intended for you. Do not think you are insufficient to carry something great. The greatest things in history were not done by the strongest people, but by those who dared to believe they were called. I do not search for human strength. I search for willing hearts, and you are one of those hearts. This is not the season of fear. It is the season of recognition, the season of opening, the season of unveiling. A new chapter is being inscribed upon your soul, subtle, sacred, powerful, and written with a light that never fades. Prepare yourself. What I am about to reveal will help you understand why all the previous seasons happened. You are drawing nearer to what your soul has been quietly moving toward from the very beginning. My child, when purpose begins to awaken within the soul, the first thing you notice will not be a clear vision of the future, but a change in how you see yourself. No one can step into their divine assignment while still holding mistaken beliefs about their own worth. That is why I spend time renewing your inner being before leading you into deeper things. Not because you are unworthy, but because I want you to be able to stand firm when you reach the new territory. A young sapling must be nurtured in silence before it can face strong winds. A soul that has just opened its eyes after a long season of darkness must be bathed in gentle light before it can gaze upon a brilliant radiance. And I am doing precisely that for you, little by little, moment by moment. Know this: a person recognizes their true worth not when they are praised, but when they realize they no longer need others' approval to live in their essence. My child, for so long you have lived with the sense that you must try hard to be accepted, to be loved, to be seen. You believed you needed to perform well, avoid mistakes, and remain strong in order to be worthy. But that is a shadow the world placed upon you, not the truth I speak over you. Your identity is not built from failures or achievements. It is built from the love I wove into you long before you took your first breath. There were moments in years past when you thought of yourself as a tiny, replaceable piece of a much larger picture. But my child, I want you to know no soul is created to be a duplicate. No one holds your place. No one carries your energy. No one possesses the same tenderness in their voice. No one sees life from the angle you do. No one bears the particular healing your soul carries. You may not realize it, but others have felt it through your presence, your smile, your sincere gaze. You do not merely exist, you bring influence, not through noise, but through the gentle stillness that helps others feel at ease. A soul stepping into purpose will begin to recognize the difference between the voice of truth and the voice of old fears. In the past, whenever you thought about living differently, more authentically, more deeply, more aligned with what you felt inside, fear rose immediately, reminding you of the past, warning you of risks, causing you to doubt yourself. But now, as you begin to hear the deeper call, you will sense fear losing its authority. It still speaks, but no longer governs. It still exists, but no longer arrests you. This is the sign that you are entering the land of freedom, a place where truth begins to triumph over deception, where the light within you grows stronger than the darkness that once covered you. In this season, You will also feel your heart being drawn back to what is genuine, to the things that make your inner being come alive. It may be compassion for someone in pain. It may be a longing to build something good in this world. It may be an urge to share something you once feared to say out loud. Or it may be the desire to step out of familiar ruts and live more fully. These things do not appear out of nowhere. They are the echo of purpose rising strongly within you. It is calling you. It is reminding you that you were not born to live halfway. It is awakening the dreams you once buried out of fear of rejection. It is inviting you into a true life, a life where your soul is free to breathe. I know that inside you, there is still a part that worries. Worried that you might fail. Worried that you might get hurt. Worried that following what your heart is whispering will cause others to misunderstand you. But I want you to know this purpose is not a road you must travel alone. Purpose is the road I walk with you. You do not have to carry all the weight. You do not have to understand the entire journey in advance. You only need to trust that my hand is leading you, and that what I am preparing for you will always be greater than anything you can imagine. You may begin to notice certain doors opening in ways so gentle that you barely recognize them as miracles. A simple conversation unexpectedly awakens something inside you. A small coincidence shifts the way you think. A passing comment from a stranger becomes the answer to a prayer you once whispered. An opportunity appears not because you chased it, but as if it sought you out. This is how I move when a soul begins to walk in harmony with me. My miracles are not always radiant and dramatic. Sometimes they are nothing more than the perfect alignment of seemingly small things. You will also realize that when purpose awakens, something else awakens with it. Courage. Not the courage to do something grand all at once, but the courage to live each day truthfully. The courage to say no to what does not nourish your soul. The courage to walk a different path than the one you have always known. The courage to face the parts of yourself you have long hidden. The courage to believe you were made for something more beautiful than what you have experienced so far. And when you dare to step into that courage, I will take care of the rest. I want you to know that purpose is not a weight but the breath of the soul. When you live in alignment with it, you will no longer feel that you must strain to fit in. You will no longer have to perform. You will no longer need to wear masks in order to be accepted. You will feel light, because your soul will finally be moving at the rhythm it was born to follow. Everything I am doing in you is to bring you to this place, to a state where you live true, live deep, live whole, and live free. There are parts of you that are not fully ready yet. That is all right. Maturity is not a leap, it is an unfolding. One wound healed at a time. One old lie replaced by a new truth. One harmful habit exchanged for a nourishing one. One fear at a time brought into my light and slowly dissolved. I work at your pace without rushing, without forcing, without pushing you into places that overwhelm you. True love does not hurry, it upholds. And the day will come, not today, perhaps not tomorrow, when you will realize that what you have been searching for all along has always been within you. It is the voice of purpose. It is my voice. It is the guidance that tells you that you were born to bring something unique into this world. Not to become impressive, but to become true to yourself. My beloved child, when purpose within you begins to rise like an underground stream, seeking its way to the light, your true self also begins to emerge from beneath the layers that time and life have placed upon it. This unveiling does not happen in a single blazing moment, but in the way of the dawn, slow, yet certain, gentle, yet unstoppable. And I want you to know that the moment you begin to see yourself more clearly is the sign that your soul is being shaped to step into the land that was appointed for you before time began. You once thought that you were the sum of others' opinions, or a reflection of what you have been through. But the truth lies much deeper. You are not your wounds. You were not creased and folded yesterday. You are not the hasty conclusions people made about you when they did not understand your heart. Your true self is what I breathed into you in the beginning, pure, strong, full of potential, marked with the imprint of love from eternity. The things that hurt you are only dust that settled over that true self. When I begin to sweep away the dust, what truly belongs to you starts to appear again. Like a gem washed clean under flowing water, the unveiling of your true self is never entirely comfortable, because it requires you to let go of parts you once clung to, believing they were you. It may be the way you have always forced yourself to look strong, or the default smile you wear to hide your vulnerable moments, or the stories you tell yourself to convince yourself that you are fine. But, my child, not everything familiar is truth. I am slowly removing each mask life has forced you to wear in order to survive. Not to expose you, but to set you free. A soul born to fly cannot live forever with its wings bound. In this season, you will notice new truths drawing near, but also ancient truths of the soul returning. You may remember things you once loved as a child but abandoned in the rush of adulthood. You may discover that qualities you once labeled as weaknesses are actually some of the strongest gifts I placed within you. You may begin to see clearly that certain limitations you believed were part of your nature were actually responses to past events. And in that moment, you will learn to distinguish between what I created in you and what life merely imprinted on you. My child, not everyone has the courage to enter the process of revealing their true self. Many prefer to live through roles because roles give them a sense of control. But you have gone further. You have allowed me to touch the deepest corners of your heart. You have dared to face the truth within yourself, even when that truth made you tremble. I do not leave you alone in those moments. I stand beside you to lift you up and show you that looking honestly at yourself is never collapse, it is rebirth. A soul that has emerged into the open becomes sensitive to truth and strong in the face of falsehood. You will find it difficult to stay around what is not honest, not because you are judging others, but because the light within you no longer tolerates the gray zones it once accepted. You will no longer want to speak words that do not come from your heart. You will no longer want to live in patterns that exhaust your spirit. You will no longer be willing to sacrifice your inner peace just to maintain a false harmony. It is not that you have become hard, it is that you have recognized that your soul is too precious to be continually harmed by meaningless things. I also want you to remember that the revealing of your true self always comes with my invitation. Step out of the places that make you smaller. You are not created to live in spaces that are too narrow, too low, too dark places where the soul cannot stretch. When you stand in your true place, you will see that what once frightened you becomes good soil for new freedom. Light does not demand perfection, it only asks for honesty. I do not want you to become what others expect. I want you to become what I have spoken over you. There will be times when you feel like a seed that has just broken through the surface of the earth, both fragile and full of potential. Winds of trial may make you sway. Showers of old memories may make your heart soften. But I want you to remember, a young plant is not weak. It is growing. Instability is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of life. You do not need to be fully steady at once. You only need to keep standing. And in every breath you take, I am covering you. You will also discover that those who truly belong to your journey will begin to appear naturally, like puzzle pieces, finally finding their place after a long scattering. Kindred souls will recognize you even before you say a word. They will see the light in you because they, too, carry light. They will not demand that you become someone else. They will not use your weaknesses to control you. They come to walk with you, to support you, to remind you of who you are becoming. I will send them at the right time, not too early, so that you are not unready, and not too late, so that you do not feel alone. The most important thing you must remember in this season is this: your true self is not something you have to create, it is something you have to return to. I placed the truth about you in every spiritual fiber of your being before you ever entered this world. What I am doing now is helping you break off the dust of doubt, comparison, and fear of rejection, layers that never belonged to you. As they fall away, you will realize that the beauty of your soul never disappeared. It was only hidden. Do not be surprised if, during this time, you feel called into things greater than yourself. I am not calling you so that you must fulfill them by your own strength. I am calling so that I may accomplish them through you. When you stand in your true identity, the strength you thought you lacked will begin to appear naturally. When you step into your right place, you will find yourself doing things you once thought impossible, not because you suddenly became stronger, but because you have stopped fighting against yourself. My beloved child, this unveiling is not the end. It is the turning of a page into an even wider chapter, a chapter where purpose, identity, and divine guidance flow together as one powerful current. A chapter in which you will find yourself not only healed, but also becoming a stream of life for others. A chapter where the light within you does not shine only for you, but also illuminates the path for weary souls. You are moving toward this step by step, breath by breath, day by day, and I am right beside you, never missing a beat, never stepping back, never abandoning you even once. Your true self is rising, and the world will be touched through it. When a soul has passed through preparation, opening, and unveiling, there comes a stage that not everyone is sensitive enough to notice, the stage of transition. This is a sacred moment when heaven and earth seem to meet in silence, when old things slip away from you without noise, and new things move toward you as gently as morning air. It is a time when you feel a subtle shift wrapping around your being, yet you cannot name it. I want you to understand that this feeling is not instability, but a sign that you are stepping into the space I have long prepared for you. The transition season is not always announced by obvious signs. More often, it arrives through small shifts that others may not notice, yet your soul feels them profoundly. Sometimes it appears when you realize you no longer fit within the things that once comforted you. Sometimes it comes when you discover you no longer wish to cling to what once frightened you. Sometimes it brushes gently against you when you begin to long for a deeper connection, a fuller way of living, a new kind of wholeness. My child, this is my invitation, calling you into a wider sky. I know you have passed through seasons where your heart felt pulled in many directions. You once stood confused, uncertain of what awaited you. But now, as your true self has been renewed, you are entering a stretch of the journey where clarity will emerge not from the outside, but from within. Transition does not begin with a door swinging open. It begins with a shift in spiritual frequency. When the melody of your soul aligns with my guidance, you will see old things fall away naturally, like the last leaves of autumn, at the right time, in the right way. There are things I will gently loosen from your hands in this season, not because they are bad, but because they no longer serve your purpose in the path ahead. Some people you once walked closely with will slowly step out of your story, not because they failed, but because their role in your journey has been fulfilled. Some places that once felt peaceful will now feel constraining, not because they changed, but because your soul has grown. I know this transition can make you feel unsteady. You may ask, am I losing something? But my child, transition is not a loss. It is alignment. It is the first step of an open door. It is the whisper of a new season. When I prepare to lead you into something larger, I will not allow you to carry what weighs your steps down. This is why certain things are being removed from your life in ways you did not expect. Not every departure is an ending. Sometimes it is liberation. Not every empty space is frightening. Sometimes it is soil ready for new seeds. Trust that when I take something away, I do it with kindness. When I close a door, it is not to wound you, but to keep you from walking the wrong path. You may not understand now, but time will reveal the tender love hidden in every shift. In the season of transition, you will sense something sacred. My silence will feel deeper, and yet my presence will feel closer than ever. You will no longer hear me through noise, but through intuition. You will no longer recognize me through dramatic signs, but through peace, peace as soft as breath, a peace that does not come from circumstances, but from the depths of your soul. When you walk in alignment with the divine path, peace will go before you like a cloud by day and follow behind you like a pillar of fire, different from the days of old, yet carrying the same meaning. I lead you. Transition always comes with my invitation, trust. You have learned to stand in the light. You have learned to listen to the deeper voice within. You have learned to release fear and follow the truth. Now you will learn something more. Trust that you are not walking alone, even if the path feels unfamiliar and the future still blurred. I go before you to prepare the way. I walk beside you to uphold you, and I come behind you to protect you. Not one of your steps is a stray step, my beloved. When the moment of transition comes, you will feel yourself expanding and narrowing at the same time. Expanding because you see new possibilities. Narrowing because you no longer wish to scatter your energy on what is meaningless. You become more focused, more discerning, more attuned. You begin to hear more clearly what belongs and what no longer does, what nourishes your soul and what drains it. These are signs that you are entering what I call divine refinement, a phase where even your smallest choices carry great weight. During transition, I will also teach you to walk more slowly, not to delay you, but to help you perceive. Mature souls do not chase noise, they walk by stillness. Those who know they belong to the light do not rush to prove their worth. And you, my child, are becoming one of these souls. I am showing you that slowness holds wisdom, and calmness carries strength. You do not need to run to reach the place I'm guiding you toward. You only need to walk in rhythm with me. Another truth I want you to understand is that transition does not merely change your outer surroundings, it restructures your inner world. I am clearing rooms in your heart where dust has gathered. I am uprooting old beliefs that once held you back. I am widening your capacity to hold greater, deeper, brighter things. I am making you softer so you can love, and stronger so you can stand. A new chapter is being written, not with human ink, but with heaven's ink on the pages of your soul. And as this chapter opens, you will understand that every closed door had purpose. Every waiting season had meaning, and every shift carried a promise. You are about to step into the sky that has always belonged to you, one you never believed you were worthy of. But I tell you this, you are not only worthy, you are chosen. This is the season where what does not belong to you will fall away like old leaves carried by the wind. And what is meant for you will come near like light passing through thin clouds. It is not merely an outward shift, it is a reconstruction of your entire inner being. And I want you to know that every movement taking place is wrapped in my protection. Even when you cannot yet see the whole picture, you may feel as though you are standing between two shores, one you have left behind, and one you have not yet reached. This in-between can feel confusing, like living between two seasons, not belonging to what was, yet not fully holding what is coming. My child, this is not lostness, it is transformation. It is like the moment between seasons when the earth has not fully changed, yet the signs of a new season are everywhere. You are not wrong to feel everything shifting. This very strangeness is proof that you are moving in the right direction. Spiritual restructuring does not happen with thunder, it unfolds in quietness. I am changing how you see, how you react, how you perceive. The things that once terrified you will no longer shake you. The things that once confused you will no longer disorient you. Inside you, a new calm will begin to form, not the calm that comes from self-control, but the calm that comes from knowing you are being led. When your soul is anchored in me, no storm, no matter how fierce, can uproot you from your foundation. I am expanding your ability to discern in this season. You will begin to see clearly what nourishes your soul and what drains it. You will know more precisely when to move forward and when to remain still. You will feel the difference between a door I open and a door forced open by human will. A door I open always carries peace even before you step through it. A door that is not from me will carry heaviness, confusion, or a subtle unrest within your spirit. My child, learn to pay attention to the vibration within your soul. Peace is my signature. Every true guidance comes wrapped in peace. Even when the road ahead is not yet clear, you will begin to see the things you have carried for far too long, the words that wounded you, the beliefs that made you shrink, the fears that caused you to question your worth. I do not blame you for holding on to them. I see clearly why they once helped you survive. But I know this, they are no longer the foundation you need for the life you are stepping into. You have grown beyond them. I am teaching you to release, not so you lose, but so you may walk lighter, higher, and farther. As I rebuild you from within, you will learn to see yourself with gentler eyes. No more judging every flaw. No more condemning yourself for feelings that rise and fall. No more viewing yourself as a burden. You will realize that vulnerability does not diminish you. It reveals that you are alive. A heart that has been wounded but still chooses to love is a strong heart. A soul that has fallen but still chooses to rise is a courageous soul. I am teaching you to recognize the beauty within your own tenderness. For in that tenderness you learn how to let me be your strength. Right now, I am sharpening your sacred intuition. You will not hear only with your ears, but with your inner knowing. You will not see only with your eyes, but with the light inside your soul. I do not want you to rely on circumstances to determine your direction. I want you to rely on my guidance. When you step into the new ground I am preparing, what matters is not that you know every answer, but that you know the one who holds the answers. You do not need a detailed map, you only need my hand. You will find yourself slowly stepping away from the things that once imprisoned your heart, no longer feeling compelled to please everyone, no longer letting people decide your worth, no longer allowing rejection to define you, no longer letting your past speak words that I never spoke. The invisible chains are breaking one link at a time, and you will feel the lightness in unexpected moments when you exhale and the weight dissolves. When you face something familiar and realize it no longer hurts. When you notice you are no longer pulled by voices that do not belong to you. The transition season is also when you begin to see the new horizon I am leading you toward. At first it may appear faint, like a line blurred in the mist, but the closer you draw, the clearer it becomes. Clarity will not come through control, but through trust. Just as Abraham heard the call to leave his familiar land without knowing where he was going, yet believed that my hand would lead him where he needed to be. You, too, are walking by that same invitation, not because you see clearly, but because you trust me. In this season, what is right for you will flow toward you naturally, and what no longer fits will drift away naturally. You will not need to cling. You will not need to force. You will not need to prove. What belongs to you will stay. What does not belong will leave. This is the law of transition, and I want you to trust that everything which departs is permitted by me, and everything that draws near has been arranged by me. My beloved, the most important thing in this season is not the speed at which you move, but the direction in which you are walking. Do not fear moving slowly. Do not fear falling behind anyone. Do not fear starting later than others. Every soul has its own rhythm, and your rhythm has been written by my eternal wisdom. I am never late, and I never prepare you too early. You are exactly on time, exactly in place, exactly in the progression you need. Let me guide you through this transition as a father leads his child through an unfamiliar turn in the road slowly, yet surely, gently, yet firmly, lovingly, yet deeply. You do not need to understand everything to take the next step. You only need to trust that I am doing what is best for you. And, my child, what I am preparing is not only for you to enter a new season, but for you to become a new person. And when transition reaches its deepest point, you will enter a stage where everything within your soul begins to shift into a new structure, not a surface-level change, but a transformation from the innermost layers where thoughts form, where emotions arise, where intuition speaks before your mind can interpret. This is when I reweave your inner being like a skilled artisan, adjusting every thread to create a garment that fits you perfectly, beautiful, protective, and designed for the seasons ahead. No part of this process is accidental. Every detail is under my supervision. You may feel as though you are standing before an invisible threshold. On one side lies the familiar things that once hurt you, yet felt safe because they were predictable. On the other side lies an unfamiliar sky, vast, open, uncertain. I know this threshold can make you hesitate. You may ask, if I step into the new, will I lose something? But my child, remember this: nothing that truly belongs to you will ever be lost simply because you follow my voice. What is real will remain. What is only a shadow will fade away. In the pivotal moments of transition, you will begin to notice sacred markers, small yet powerful confirmations I send to let you know you are walking in the right direction. It may be an unexpected thought that brings a profound sense of peace. It may be an offhand comment from someone that directly touches the question you have been praying about. It may be a situation that arrives at the perfect moment, pushing you out of an old cycle. I weave myself into your life through things that appear random but are, in truth, arranged with delicate intention. I move with steps so gentle that only souls who listen deeply can hear my footsteps. I am also teaching you something important. Not every open door is an invitation, and not every closed door is a rejection. Some doors open only so you can see they are not your direction. Some doors close to protect you from what could harm you later. And some doors will not open until you are fully ready. I do not close because you lack something. I close so that you may be fully prepared before stepping into what is great. In the moments you want to know the future instantly, I do not give you a map, but I give you enough light for the next step. If I were to show you the whole path, your heart might feel overwhelmed. If I revealed too early, you might try to run ahead of your strength. But I want you to walk with me step by step, breath by breath, day by day. This is not limitation, it is protection. This is not merely a journey of reaching a new place, but a journey in which I become your refuge. At the intersection between the old and the new, I am also allowing you to see how you respond, not to test you in the sense of an exam, but to help you recognize yourself more clearly. When an old situation repeats but your heart responds with calmness, you will know you have grown. When a word that once wounded you no longer holds power over you, you will see that I have healed you. When an opportunity you once desired no longer draws your heart, you will understand that your soul has shifted its position. These are the signs of true transformation, not that the world has changed, but that you have changed within it. I am expanding your capacity to receive the new. You will notice that your mind no longer thinks in old patterns. What once filled you with anxiety becomes something you can face with composure. You begin to see life not through the lens of fear, but through the lens of hope. What is happening within you is like clear water being gradually replaced with fresh water, a silent, unhurried, but powerful exchange. There may be days when you feel still even though you know you are changing. But my child, that stillness is not delay, it is stabilization. When a tree is replanted in better soil, it has seasons of stillness while its roots sink deeply before its branches rise upward. You are the same. Your roots are reaching into the soil of truth, into the foundation of light, so that when the season of blossoming comes, you will stand firm against even the strongest winds. Some days you will feel a strange peace, as though your heart is being bathed in a light not of this world. On other days you will feel more sensitive, easily moved, as if you are touching the world from the deepest layers of your soul, layers you had never reached before. Do not fear these emotions. They are not disruptions, they are refinements. I am cleansing the hidden chambers of your heart so that you may step into what is coming with new strength and new gentleness. My beloved child, you are not walking alone. My presence surrounds your every breath, every thought, every step. I am sharpening your awareness of my voice so that when the moment arrives and the door fully opens, you will recognize it not by its brilliance, but by the peace that precedes it in your soul. In this season, I am also teaching you the art of releasing at the right time. There are things that will not follow you into the new chapter, relationships that only belong to a previous season, habits that weigh down your spirit, thoughts that once protected you but have now become walls, behaviors that were born from survival but no longer align with your maturity. Do not hold on to them simply because they are familiar. When I invite you into new territory, I also remove from your hands the things that keep you from rising. But my child, I never take something from you without giving you something better, deeper, and more enduring. This is the law of my love for you. And when transition reaches its appointed moment, you will feel a very distinct shift. You will no longer fear the new. You will no longer face the future with trembling. You will no longer be held back by the past. You will stand before the door of the new season with peace in your heart, lightness in your steps, clarity in your mind, and readiness in your soul. This readiness does not come from perfection, it comes from trust. A new chapter is about to unfold. It will not resemble any chapter before it. It is wider, deeper, more refined, and written with light. You will know when that moment arrives, not through loud signs, but through a peace as deep and still as quiet waters. My child, when the silent movements of the previous seasons have finished their work in your soul, when the deep chambers of your heart are cleansed, when the old patterns fall away like dry husks, I will bring you into an entirely different season, the season of blossoming. This is when the seeds I planted in you through past seasons begin to rise above the ground, receive light, and reveal themselves in ways you never dared imagine. Blossoming does not come from striving but from readiness, not from human force but from the harmony between your soul and my breath. In this stage, you will feel a shift in the spiritual atmosphere around you. No longer the hesitation of transition, no longer the haziness of early self-discovery, no longer the instability within. Instead, a deep confidence will begin to grow in you, not a confidence rooted in talent or achievement, but a confidence that comes from knowing I am moving. It is a form of peace that lets you walk without trembling, speak without doubting, and stand without straining. It is born from the certainty that every step you take is upheld by an unfailing love. When I lead you into the season of blossoming, you will begin to see things that once appeared only as faint glimmers. Dreams that once hid beneath the deep layers of your consciousness will rise with greater clarity. Abilities you never dared to try will become unmistakably visible. Doors that once stood barely ajar will begin to open wide. You will feel as though you are not simply walking, but being carried by a sacred wind pushing you forward. Do not be surprised when you suddenly become bold in the very places where you were once hesitant. When I breathe upon a soul, it will know how to stand, how to walk, and how to soar in rhythm with me. You will begin to recognize signs of alignment in your everyday life, opportunities arriving at the perfect moment, new relationships appearing with a refined precision, invitations that feel like my hand resting gently on your back saying, "Go on, my child." I will rearrange the pieces so they fit together so seamlessly that you will have to pause and whisper, "Only God could have done this." That, my child, is the sign of the blossoming season, a time when heaven and earth join hands to lift you into the place you were destined to inhabit. You will feel an inner strength you never knew you had, not the strength of willpower, but the strength of a soul refined through fire. A soul that has known pain knows how to stand. A soul that has known brokenness knows how to love without fear. A soul that has walked through the long night knows how to recognize dawn even when it is only a faint line at the horizon. You will realize that every past challenge did not come to crush you, but to build a foundation strong enough for this very season. The words I once planted in you will begin to manifest not with the noise of fireworks, but with the steady flow of a river moving toward the sea. You will walk into spaces you once believed you were unworthy of. You will do things you once thought were too great for you. You will stand in places you once only observed from afar, not because you have changed by worldly standards, but because your soul now aligns with the frequency of heaven. My beloved child, the opening of doors is not for your pride but for your purpose, not to prove that you are capable, but to allow you to become a stream of my love flowing into the world. The light that increases in you is not for you to keep, it is to shine upon those who wander in the dark. I lift you up not so you can look down, but so you can look farther, wider, and deeper than human eyes can see. Those whom I lead into this journey always carry a certain mark. Their hearts become softer, their compassion grows deeper, and their empathy becomes stronger, not because they are fragile, but because they have been touched to the core and now know how to touch other souls with the gentleness I have taught them. Your blossoming will not be the echo of pride, but the fragrance of humility. In this season, you will notice that what once frightened you no longer has power. The voices that once made you doubt yourself will become distant. The patterns of thought that once confined you will feel like the story of someone you no longer are. You will feel as though you are stepping into the truest version of yourself, the version I envisioned when I formed you. Blossoming does not mean you will have no challenges. On the contrary, challenges may come, but in this season, they will not carry the weight they once did. A soul rebuilt will not collapse under small tremors. One who learned to stand in transition will stand even when unexpected winds blow. You will no longer fear walking into any situation. For I walk with you, before you, behind you, and on every side. My beloved, your blossoming will attract attention not in a showy way, but because people will sense the light within you. Some may ask, why have you changed? Why are you so peaceful? Why are you so strong? You do not need to explain anything through logic. You only need to live. Your presence will be testimony enough. When people see a flower bloom, no one needs to explain how the seed broke open in the dark. They only need to look, and beauty speaks for itself. I want you to enter this season with your eyes wide open and your heart full of expectation, not vague expectation, but expectation grounded in the truth that I am the one doing the work within you. This blossoming is not a sudden miracle, but the result of the long process through which I have guided you with patience. Every moment you thought you were lost, I was building. Every tear you thought was forgotten, I was watering. Every sigh you breathed in waiting, I was shaping. My child, it is time for you to step out. It is time for you to rise. It is time for you to see what I have planted in you come to full bloom. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a radiant chapter, a chapter where you no longer merely live, but live with purpose, steady, strong, and full of light. As the season of blossoming begins to expand within your soul, a new reality will emerge, the reality of enlargement. This is not the enlargement produced by ambition or personal striving, but the natural unfolding of a soul prepared, refined, and firmly rooted in truth. It stretches out like a field drenched by the first rain of the season, breaking open the dry soil so new life can rise. It is unhurried, unforced, gentle, yet carrying the authority to reshape everything around you according to the light you now carry. If in the previous season you learned how to stand firm, then in this season you will learn how to operate in what has been entrusted to you. A soul that has passed through transition does not merely receive the new, it knows how to use it. You will find yourself handling situations that once confused you with a new grace. You will know how to speak at the right moment, keep silence at the right moment, walk in the right direction, pause at the right turn, not because you are suddenly wiser by human standards, but because you are being guided by the sacred flow that has been opened within you. In this season of expansion, you will begin to realize that what once frightened you now becomes the very ground upon which you rise. Old limitations, invisible walls that once caused you to shrink back, will begin to lose their influence. You will step into spaces you once avoided. You will face opportunities you once believed you were unworthy of. You will say yes to things you never dared to dream. I do not want you to merely stand at a distance and look at the new season. I want you to walk into it. Expansion is not for those who remain on the sidelines. I will bring into your life people whose souls are aligned with your journey. They will not drag you down, nor will they distract you. Instead, they will strengthen, support, and deepen what I am doing within you. Some will come as companions, some as teachers for a brief moment, and some will appear only once but leave behind clarity that you could not have found on your own, even over years. This is how I work in the season of expansion through alignment, not loud, forced connection, but the delicate linking of soul to soul. This expansion does not take place only on the outside. It begins first in your mind and heart. You will find yourself welcoming new ideas that you were once too guarded to receive. You will see old perspectives becoming too small for the horizon your soul is now stretching toward. I will enlarge your capacity to receive so you can understand my revelations more deeply. A soul expanded from within will no longer limit the ways I can move. My child, you will see that the nature of light is always to spread. No light shines only for itself. When light grows within you, it will naturally touch the lives around you. You will become a refuge for the weary. You will become a steady place for those who feel lost. You will not have to try. Your presence alone will invite them back to what is true. When your soul shines, the darkness around you retreats without a fight. This is also when you will experience a new form of power, the power of gentleness. You once thought power meant strength, decisiveness, and visible courage. But now you will discover that true power is the ability to touch the heart of another through peace. I give you a kind of influence that does not come from force or persuasion, but from alignment with heaven. When you speak, your words carry weight. When you remain silent, even your silence speaks. When you stand, your presence creates a space where others can see themselves clearly. In the season of expansion, you will also face a subtle test. Do not shrink back. As you begin to emerge, there will be voices that attempt to pull you back into old versions of yourself. Some will not understand your transformation. Some will feel uneasy as you step into the light. Some will try to bring you back to old limits simply because they are accustomed to who you once were. Do not be angry with them. Your transformation forces them to face the parts of themselves they have not yet dared to shift. Love them, but do not return to the place I told you to leave. I want you to walk with steadfastness. You do not need to explain your expansion to anyone. Light does not ask permission to shine. A flower does not present a reason before it blooms. My child, when I place something in you, I also give you full protection to safeguard it. No one has the authority to define your life except me. In this season of expansion, you will begin to witness something extraordinary. You no longer need to create opportunities. Opportunities will come to you. The doors that approach you will carry the same unmistakable sign, peace. You will no longer chase things that do not belong to you. You will no longer fear missing out, for you have stepped into the frequency of divine guidance, the frequency where everything meant for you arrives at the appointed time. You will discover that when your soul expands, you will know how to give without fear of lack, how to love without fear of being hurt, how to sacrifice without feeling taken advantage of. For your source is not people, it is me, and what comes from me never runs dry. You cannot run empty when you are connected to the infinite. This expansion is not an enlargement of the outer self, it is a widening of depth. It does not make you proud, it makes you humble. It does not disconnect you from others, it makes you more capable of lifting them. It does not place you at the center, it turns you into a vessel for my love. And you are moving closer to the time when your purpose will not only blossom, but bear fruit. This season is merely the beginning of what will be revealed. There is much for you to see, much for you to carry, much for you to give. My child, keep walking, keep opening, keep receiving the vastness I am placing into your life. When the expansion in the soul becomes steady and your operation in purpose begins to feel natural, you will enter yet a higher stage, the unveiling of the true position I appointed to you from eternity. This is not a position measured by earthly scales. nor tied to reputation or human approval. It is a position within the divine order, where you become part of something far greater than yourself. A placement where, when you stand in the exact place designed for you, the flow of heaven moves through you to reach lives you never imagined you could affect. This unveiling is not a sudden burst of revelation, but more like dawn spreading across the sky, gradual, smooth, unstoppable. You will begin to notice that things start aligning simultaneously across various areas of your life. Doors open in places you never expected. Encounters unfold as though arranged long before time. Words you speak land precisely in the hearts of those who need them most. All things begin to unfold not by coincidence, but by an unseen hand orchestrating the current of your days. You will begin to hear more clearly what I am whispering to you, not with your ears, but through an inner knowing. You will understand things that once felt vague. You will recognize the subtle signals I send through circumstances, through the stirring in your heart, through the restlessness that invites you to pause and look within. I am increasing the spiritual sensitivity of your soul so you can discern what belongs to me and what does not. And as you begin stepping into your new position, the first thing I will adjust to you is your vision. For if your vision is small, you will take small steps, love in small ways, and live small dreams. But I did not design you for smallness, not smallness of humility, but smallness of limitation. I want your vision to open like the sky after the rain clear, vast and unblocked by old assumptions. There are dreams you have not dared to consider because you once feared failure. There are desires you hid because you feared judgment. There are abilities I placed in you that you have not touched because you believed you were not enough. But my child, I have never built anything halfway. If I put a longing inside you, I also placed within you the resources to fulfill it. If I give you a dream, it is never meaningless imagination. It is a sign of what I am preparing for. In the season of unveiling, I will teach you a principle many souls have overlooked. What belongs to you will recognize you. You do not need to fight for it. You do not need to prove yourself. You do not need to force open any door. What is ordained by heaven carries my imprint, and your soul will feel an unmistakable peace when it touches it. Conversely, what is not yours will always leave you unsettled, no matter how perfect it appears on the surface. This is the season in which you will learn how to stand firm while remaining supple. The world is used to two extremes, rigidity or carelessness. But the soul that walks in the light knows how to be gentle without being weak, flexible without losing direction. Like water soft yet able to carve through stone, you will learn how to walk without striving, love without being consumed, give without becoming empty, and serve without losing yourself. You will realize that true influence does not come from noise, but from alignment with the divine. Every time you live according to the nature I placed in you, your light will soften the hardened places around you. Every time you choose truth over fear, you push back darkness without raising your voice. Every time you do the right thing quietly, heaven sees and strengthens you. My beloved, in the season of unveiling, you will feel a shift in the spiritual atmosphere around you. The old tension will fade. The heaviness that used to cling to you will no longer have a place. Things that once exhausted you will begin to feel light, not because they vanish instantly, but because you have risen to a higher plane, one where the old weight can no longer reach you. This is when you will understand my promise: my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. When your soul stands in the right place, work that once felt heavy becomes effortless. Tasks that once drained you become sources of delight. What once confused you becomes something you navigate naturally. People who once discouraged you can no longer touch the deep calm within you. This is the sign that you are standing at a new height. Do not think that unveiling exists so others may recognize you. No. Unveiling is, first of all, for you to recognize yourself. For years you have seen yourself through distorted lenses, through others' words, through old failures, through society's expectations, through your own doubts. But my light will sweep away those lenses and allow you to see yourself through my eyes chosen. Beloved, purposed, never accidental, never meaningless, never forgotten. When you see yourself rightly, you will live rightly. You will no longer fear stepping into larger spaces. You will no longer hesitate to embrace meaningful roles. You will no longer bow your head to human opinions. You will no longer shrink back when your soul is being called upward. Because you know you do not walk alone, you walk with the one who called you. And remember, a divine position is not a place for boasting, it is a place for serving. But serving, in this season, will no longer come from exhaustion or striving, it will come from joy. You will see that lifting another soul is an honor, giving what you have is a privilege, reflecting my love is a delight. Every step you take in your rightful place will become a quiet song of gratitude. The season of unveiling is near. Do not worry about whether you are ready, no one is ready by themselves. I am the one who prepares you. You need only open your heart and follow my lead. I will take care of the rest. My child, when the journey brings the soul to the threshold of its ultimate maturity, there will come a moment when you sense something profound, shifting within, not the trembling of temporary emotion, but a sacred stillness where all inner noise becomes quiet. This is when you recognize that you are stepping into a new reality, the reality of deep communion with the one who crafted your soul. From this place, you no longer live merely to chase answers, but to dwell in presence, no longer run after the future, but walk in daily guidance. You will experience a kind of peace that nothing on earth can give. This peace does not come from the absence of difficulties, but from my presence in every breath you take. My presence is not loud, not overwhelming, not demanding, rather like gentle light gliding over morning waters, touching, lifting, illuminating without force. My child, this is the most beautiful part of the journey, when you no longer seek me in grand miracles but find me in the smallest moments, in a breath, in a smile, in the quiet beating of your own heart. When your soul is mature enough to stand in that stillness, I will begin to reveal the deeper purpose I have always held for you. This purpose is not a detailed blueprint laid before your eyes, but a step-by-step guide. Just as Abraham was simply told, "Go to the land I will show you," you too will be invited into a higher form of obedience, and obedience not rooted in full understanding, but in absolute trust. And here, my child, your soul will discover a freedom nothing else can give. For true freedom is not doing whatever you please. It is no longer being bound by anything that pulls you away from my will. When you reach this place, the things that once held you back will begin to fall away. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the memories of old wounds, the habit of shrinking yourself, the expectations of others. They will slide off your soul like a garment too small, because you no longer need them for protection. My child, when your soul stands in my light, no shadow has the power to call you back. In this stage, you will begin to sense something truly extraordinary. Your heart starts to align with the rhythm of heaven. You will no longer pray with trembling hands, asking for this or that. but you will pray with the quiet assurance of a child who knows their father is listening. You will no longer beg for circumstances to be fixed quickly, because you will realize that I am first reshaping your heart. You will no longer ask, "Why is this happening?" but instead, "What am I meant to learn here?" You will no longer fear my silence, because you will understand that my silence always carries intention. And this is the unmistakable sign of maturity. Your soul becomes sensitive to what is right, rather than merely to what is easy. You will begin to choose what strengthens you instead of what comforts you. You will choose love instead of self-protection. You will choose forgiveness instead of resentment. You will choose movement instead of remaining in fear. Not because you are forcing yourself to be strong, but because something within you has changed. My child, at this moment in the journey, I will reveal to you something profound. You are not walking to reach somewhere. You are walking to become someone. For so long you believed that the purpose of life was to arrive at a certain position, to achieve a certain dream, to enter a certain open door. But my child, all of those things are only tools meant to train the soul. What I seek in you is not an achievement, but a heart that reflects me. When that heart is formed, every other thing will fall into its rightful place. You will begin to understand what it means to live without inner division. Every fragmented part of you, the part that failed, the part that was wounded, the part that doubted, the part that hoped, will be gathered, healed, and woven into wholeness. You will no longer feel split inside. You will no longer need to perform, to divide yourself, to prove your worth, or to hold together an image out of fear. This wholeness will become the greatest foundation for your next season. You will begin to understand a secret few have discovered. True strength comes from gentleness, not a fragile gentleness, but the gentleness of someone who knows they are loved, protected, and guided. You will no longer need anger to defend yourself. You will no longer stay silent out of fear of being hurt. You will no longer shrink yourself to be accepted. You will stand tall without pride, bow low without fear, enter without needing applause, and leave without craving praise. You will live like someone who knows that their worth comes from the one who called their name, not from the opinions of people. In this season, I will also give you a new kind of authority, not the authority of a loud voice, but of a soul that has walked through fire and kept its light. When you speak, hearts will open. When you pray, heaven will respond. When you step into a room, the spiritual atmosphere will shift, even if you are unaware of it. Not because you are greater than anyone else, but because you have been shaped into a precise instrument in my hand. Remember, ultimate maturity never pulls you away from me, it draws you closer. For the deeper you grow, the more you recognize your need for me. The wiser you become, the more aware you are of the limits of understanding. The stronger you grow, the more you rely on the source that never runs dry. The more expanded you become, the more humble your heart must remain to stay in the light. You have come so far, but what I have prepared for you extends far beyond this moment. You are stepping into a land your soul was formed to belong to. A land not only of purpose, but of intimacy, not only of assignment, but of companionship, not only of action, but of presence. Step into it. Open your heart. Let me draw you deeper. My beloved, when the soul enters the depth of true maturity, a very subtle yet unmistakable transformation begins to unfold. You start to think with heaven's mind, feel with heaven's rhythm, and respond with heaven's spirit. This is not forced behavior, nor is it the effort to appear better. It is the new life within you, functioning like an underground stream, quiet but unceasing. From here on, your actions will no longer arise from old reflexes, but from inner discernment refined by light, by truth, and by love. In this season, you will notice yourself choosing what is right even when no one is watching. It will not exhaust you or make you struggle. Instead, it will feel like relief, like returning to your truest self. Choosing what is right will no longer be a task, but a natural response, because your soul has been tuned to harmonize with the divine. And my child, this is the greatest evidence that you are no longer living from your old nature, but from a spirit entirely renewed. As you enter this harmony, I will draw you into a deeper stillness where you no longer come to me only as a refuge in crisis, but as breath itself, needed each day. You will seek my presence without any agenda, not because hope has grown numb, but because love has matured. This love does not negotiate, does not bargain, does not cling. It is like the roots of a great tree, quiet yet steadfast, nourishing without being seen. In that stillness, I will teach you the art of listening. Listening not merely with your ears, but with your mind, your heart, and the spiritual sensitivity shaped through many seasons of trial. You will begin to hear how I guide you through the smallest details, through a gentle stirring in your spirit, through an unusual peace, through a discomfort that makes you pause, through a phrase someone speaks without knowing I am using them. When you grow familiar with my voice, you will recognize that I was never silent. You simply had not learned how to discern. You will no longer overreact to the things that once wounded you, not because you have become hardened, but because you now see reality at a deeper level. You will understand that every delay carries intention, every closed door provides direction, every loss is a form of preparation, every silence contains a lesson, every wound carries wisdom meant to grow you. When you perceive this, pain will no longer break you. It will become a teacher leading you toward maturity. This is the moment your soul undergoes a very delicate shift. You begin to see life through the eyes of mercy rather than judgment. You will see others not through criticism, but through understanding. Understanding that every person carries unseen burdens, battles, fears you cannot witness, and searches for love in the unlit corners of their heart they themselves are afraid to face. When you look with such eyes, you will grow gentler, more patient, and more like me. True strength is not found in winning every battle, but in refusing to let darkness harden your heart. Many believe they are strong when they feel nothing anymore, but that is not strength, that is defense. True strength is when you still feel, yet you are not overwhelmed, when you still love, yet you are not defeated by pain, when you still hope. Even after disappointment, when you remain kind, even when others cannot understand the depth of your heart. True strength is when your soul stands firm like a shoreline waves may strike, but they cannot wash you away. You will begin to recognize that I am inviting you into a deeper dimension of companionship. You are beginning to co-labor with me, not merely being led, but working alongside, not only asking, but building together, not only receiving, but pouring out. When you reach this place, the words you speak will carry weight not because you try to influence anyone, but because you speak from a place saturated with love and truth. When you listen to someone with sincerity, they will feel my touch through you. When you pray for someone, heaven will respond because your heart is aligned with my will. This is a kind of union no book or theory can teach you. It is formed only through long, patient companionship between you and me. It is here that you will begin to understand deeply the meaning of you and I walk together. You take one step, and I guide the next. You speak one word, and I place authority upon it. You love someone, and I open the door for that love to bring healing. You rise to lift another soul, and I give you strength so that you do not run dry. In this season, I will also clarify the identity you have sought for so long. Not an identity built on success or failure, not on roles or titles, not on praise or criticism, but on one unshakable truth: you belong to me. When you stand on that identity, none of the storms of this life will be able to unsteady you. You will no longer strive to be accepted, for you are already accepted. You will no longer run to be loved, for you are already loved. You will no longer shrink back to avoid hurt, for I am your refuge. Living in that identity, you will experience a pure, radiant freedom, the freedom to be yourself, not the version others expect, not the version shaped by fear, not the version molded by painful experiences, but the version I dreamed of when I formed you, a soul that is clear, strong, gentle, wise, and filled with light. My beloved, when the journey brings the soul to its threshold, there will be a moment when you recognize that none of the seasons you walked through were meaningless. Every long night, every silent prayer, every time you kept going with a heavy heart, every tear you let fall in secrecy, every moment you felt too weary to believe, each of them has become a note in a symphony that leads you to this place, the place where you and I move in the same rhythm. No more distance, no more doubt, no more defensive walls, only the union between your soul and the love that has never left you. In that moment, you will understand what you once only heard in teachings, that the ultimate purpose of life is not to chase success or to survive pain, but to dwell in me and for me, to dwell in you. When that abiding becomes your essence, the things that once shook you will lose their power. You will experience a peace that is not just surface calm, but a deep settling in the foundations of your soul where you know you belong. You are loved, and nothing can separate you from the source of life. Within this union, I will open to you something very few souls have touched: abundant life, not measured by possessions or influence, but by spiritual fullness. You will wake each day in gratitude even before your eyes open. You will walk through life with a steadiness no upheaval can break. You will sense me in every moment, not as a distant idea, but as a presence who walks beside you, smiles over you, and guides you with patient love. You will begin to understand the depth of the declaration, I know you, not knowing you through your actions, but knowing you through your very essence. I know what brings you joy, what weighs on your heart, what stirs your worries, what strengthens your spirit. I know the places you hide, the parts you fear to confront, the hopes you have never dared to speak aloud. And when you realize that I know all of this and still love you completely, you will be freed from every fear that once held you captive. You will live as one who has been found, no longer chasing the acceptance of others, for you were received long before they ever noticed you, no longer striving to preserve your worth, for your worth can never be lost. One who has been found does not need to be harsh with themselves, for they know grace surrounds them. One who has been found does not allow the past to shape their future, for they walk in new light every day. And when your soul finds rest in that love, I will grant you a sacred honor to become a bearer of light, not a light to shine upon yourself, but a light to guide those stumbling in darkness. You will become my comfort to the despairing soul. You will become my arm lifting those who are falling. You will become my voice when someone needs the truth. You will become my sign in a world filled with disorder. My child, this is not a heavy burden. It is the expression of a soul transformed. When you carry light, you do not strain to shine. It flows from within, simply by your presence. The darkness in another's heart will begin to soften, simply by listening. Their wounds will begin to ease, simply by your patience. They will begin to feel safe. For true light requires no noise. It only requires a heart that has been lit. This is also when you will understand that heaven's movement is not a list of tasks, but a flow of love woven through everything. You will recognize that every person you meet, every event that unfolds, every opportunity that opens carries a meaning that only a listening heart can perceive. You will walk through life without regarding any moment as random, because you know my hand is in every thread. You are no longer only a receiver, but a giver, not only the healed, but the healer, not only the upheld, but the upholder, not only the called, but the one who calls others home, not by force or argument, but by the transformation you carry within you. This commissioning does not arrive with applause, but with peace, not with pressure, but with gentle guidance. You will do things you never imagined, speak words you never dared, walk into places you never dreamed of, not because you seek to stand out, but because you long for my heart to be revealed through your life. My beloved, to bring this journey to its close, I want to place within you a truth that will never change. You belong to me forever. Nothing in this world can separate you from that reality. No circumstance can erase it. No failure can destroy it. No winter can bury it. You belong to me before you ever knew how to call my name. You belong to me even when you doubted your worth. You belong to me even when you ran far away. And you will belong to me for all eternity. I am not only the place you come when you are exhausted, I am the place you belong. I am not only the one who bends down to comfort you, I am the one who walks beside you. I am not only the one who heals your wounds, I am the one who redefines your entire life through unconditional love. Walk into this new chapter of your life with peace. No rushing, no fear, no doubt. The seasons you have passed through have prepared you to carry what is coming. What you thought was loss has become foundation. The words I have spoken into your heart will continue to guide you day by day. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are exactly where I want you to stand. And from this place, I will lead you farther, deeper, higher into the realm your soul was created to belong to. My beloved, your story is not over. I will be with you in every chapter, every line, every breath. Thank you for listening to today's message. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so we may continue receiving living words together, building unshakable faith, and walking in the boundless love of God. Amen.